Today on the show, Kevin gives his hottest takes. Then, we dive into some of the answers we already gave in the last episode of Anime Binge Club. And finally, hey, what up? It's me, the Spleen. That's right. What up, Spin Pie? We got a new show coming for you soon. It's Sippin' with Spleen and Spin Pie. That's all on today's episode of Anime Binge Club. Hit the theme. Hey everybody, welcome to Anime Binge Club, the only podcast that has you listen to the title of the main that we think that say the podcast is about. I'm the host, and Kevin.
Hi.
How do you
know,
like
every
that
time I
intro?
watch that intro, and I've probably seen that 100 times now between the show and editing everything, I'm like, okay, I've seen this enough times. I'm not going to laugh at it this time.
Mhm.
And then I see that like split second of your face on Ray's body,
Yeah,
and I lose it every time.
it's
Every
good.
time, that's still funny.
Yeah, I was thinking this is, this. I guess we'll probably do the rebuild, so we'll probably have reason to listen to that theme again. But I was listening to it, and I was like, this is like among the last times we're going to listen to it. And boy, it's so fun to do those videos. And I got to do more. I don't know. There's a new season of Dan to Dan out, and the outro sequence is something that I think I could do a parody of potentially. I could probably do the intro, but the intro is not as, I don't know. The other thing is, my ability to replicate stuff is limited to say the least. And so more complicated stuff I definitely can't do. The new intro of Dan to Dan is pretty complicated. But yeah, I don't know. We only do it when we need it, but there's some ones that I want to do. Like there's the first season of what is it? Jujutsu Kaisen has an outro that I want to do. There's one called Mashley, I think it's called. I don't know how you actually pronounce it, but that one has a song that I want to do. And yeah, it's fun. And what I was thinking about is I was like, man, I listen to our podcast, Kevin. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I subscribe. I listen. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of the show, and I listen to all podcasts at 2x speed. So when I was listening to the theme song this time, I was like, man, it's slow. Anytime I listen to anything at normal speed these days that I also listen to podcast versions of, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Everything's so fucking slow, which I don't know. Some people may have suggested on their podcast that it's breaking my brain. I can't say I disagree, but hey, I don't like listening to podcasts on normal speed. I don't got enough time on my hands apparently, but I do. The free time I have, I don't always spend listening to podcasts. I can only listen to them in my car. So I don't know. Where do you listen to podcasts, Kevin? Do you listen to podcasts really?
Not so much anymore, but I do sometimes, especially when I'm traveling or I'm bored or something. Like I just went to Europe and back, and pretty much both times I had no internet on the flight across the ocean. So I had a bunch of podcasts on my phone, listen to those. And then, yeah, I do the same thing. But instead of like, I don't so much speed it up. I do speed it up a little bit. But what I do is like, I don't know, without even thinking, I just like hit the button to skip ahead 10 seconds every so often. And then I have no idea what's going on. So I have to back up and then re-listen. And I don't like, I get impatient, I guess. And at all the worst times.
Yeah. I kind of I get into this part where I stop listening. I kind of tune out, and then I realize I tune out, and then I go back, and then I tune out again, and I realize I tune out, and I'm listening to the same like thing like 5 times in a row, and I'm like, what the fuck? Sometimes when I'm tuning out, I just give it up. I'm like, yeah, well, this is going to happen. It's okay. Let's accept this. But yeah, it's good because when you're not listening to a podcast at 2x speed, you get through it so much faster. So then you can start another podcast, and then hopefully that one will catch your attention.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. But what's up, folks? It's time for Sipping with Spleen and Spin Pie, the part of the show where we try a beverage. Kevin, you want to get in on this beverage?
Yes. So I got the sour Mountain Dew. Is it doing it? Yeah, the cherry lemon, like
It's
sour
the
ring kind of.
trolley flavor,
Yeah.
trolley gummy worms.
Yeah. So I got one of those to try. What do you have to try today?
I got one of those as well, baby. Oh, yeah, that's the stuff. And hey, it's me, Spin Pie. I got Gamer Girl bathwater. So that's what's coming up on the show. We'll be cracking into that. Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my. Okay. Wow. All
Yeah.
right.
So give it a sniff, Kevin.
It smells like slightly peachy Mountain Dew. And I know it's not supposed to be peachy, but it smells like peachy, like peach rings, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. It's
With the hit
supposed
of
to be
cherry.
cherry lemon gummy worms.
Yeah. See, I don't,
I think you can
I don't,
smell some of that gumminess.
that might be what I'm smelling more than anything. That kind of like syrupy,
Mm-hmm.
but like not syrupy. You know what I mean, though? Like that gummy consistency somehow has a
Yeah,
smell to it.
yeah.
I don't know. Like, listen, I'm all about strange sodas. I don't want like the Mountain Dew people to be like, "Oh, Kevin and Spencer are tired of this. We're going to stop doing it now." But
No, we'll never stop.
I feel like they're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel lately. Like these
Hmm.
haven't been revolutionary changes. They haven't been, it just seems like more and more variations of kind of the same flavors.
Yeah.
It kind of smells like red Kool-Aid too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna sip it.
Kevin's gonna give it a sip. I already had this one. I'd say as a diet flavor, it's pretty good. It has 15 calories in it, which is interesting. Go ahead, Kevin. You got any thoughts?
It actually tastes a lot like maybe just I said this, but it tastes like sugar-free red Kool-Aid.
Yeah, yeah. I do think it has something that does taste like gummy worms to it. It does have like a bit of that trolley flavor somehow. I don't know why. It also, people have pointed this out online. It also has a bit of a NyQuil taste, like a bit of a cherry cough syrup kind of vibe,
Yeah.
but not enough where it's like really unpleasant. I think some people that are sensitive about that kind of flavor or have like bad like sense memories associated with it will probably be turned off by it. But to me, it's like I can taste it, but overall, I do kind of like it. I don't know.
Yeah, now that you're saying it, children's cough syrup.
Yeah, it's better than that though.
It is. Like it's not as harsh, but
Hmm.
like if you were to like distill this down into a little bit more of a concentrated flavor, I think you would definitely get some kind of, I don't know. Yeah, Dimetap or something.
I wonder. Here's an idea, Kevin. We get some gelatin. We
Hmm.
reduce this to make it more potent and more concentrated. Add gelatin, turn it into gummy worms.
Okay, I didn't know where you were going with that to the very last sentence. Okay.
Isn't that a
Uh,
cool idea? Aren't
that
I
is a really
genius? I got the bubble
we'll
throat.
both have to try this and see if we can make this happen.
Mm-hmm. Just
Yeah,
drinking, just
it,
enjoying a
it's it's
beverage.
it's got such a strange flavor to it that I just can't play. Like it's a lot of things from like distant memories that are all kind of in one.
Yeah, it's a weird
You
one.
know?
It's the thing is, Mountain Dew. Okay, so we've talked about the shelf problem that a lot of like places you buy Mountain Dew, there's just not a lot of soda spots anymore. It's all like energy drinks and stuff. So when you have all these flavors of Mountain Dew, their places aren't carrying all of them. They're picking one or two. It's hard to get like a diet Mountain Dew. I like Diet Dr. Pepper. Well, I like Dr. Pepper Zero. I don't really like Diet Dr. Pepper actually. And a lot of places you go, they don't have Dr. Pepper Zero. And since this is a new flavor and it's zero sugar only, there's places where if they're not having like diet beverages that I'm liking, they have the trolley Mountain Dew. And then it's like, great, now I have like a diet soda that I can like get down with, as opposed to like compromising. When I'm compromising, I usually go for a Coke Zero, which is honestly pretty good. It's just not what I'm looking for. So yeah. But that's sipping with spleen and spin pie. I thought we'd hear more from him in this segment, but I guess not.
And he's mysterious.
I think Spenpie is drowning in the bathwater. He's face down in a small carafe. So,
Okay. Well, I hope he
take
makes
that.
it. I'll
Yeah.
miss that dude if he gets hurt.
Yeah. We need him. We need him back. I hope, is drowning permanent?
I don't know for Spenpie. I feel
Yeah.
like he's got some kind of magical powers.
He's got something going on. He's glowing. But yeah. So what have you been watching? You've been watching anything? Anime, not anime?
I have not. I have just been like nonstop, either traveling or when I got back working
Hmm.
24/7. I have not watched a thing for a while. Um, I was really enjoying Dutch TV, flipping through that and not understanding anything, but beyond that, no, not really.
That's basically anime.
Yeah, 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 probably right. Yeah.
That's like the same thing. Oh, I wanted to do this earlier in the episode, but I wanted to just give a shout out to Doug Baker, who edited his Patreon membership to $20, the $20 tier. So, you know, I don't know that this is a new thing I'm doing, but I wanted to do
It,
it. So I am. Doug Baker, keeping it real. Unless
Thank you, Doug.
he wants his name to be censored, in which case, whoops. Oh boy. What have I been watching? I finished this season of Yu-Gi-Oh that I was watching. Which someone on the Reddit said I should have a Yu-Gi-Oh minute, which made me remember we haven't talked about One Piece in a while. I don't think we're going to talk about One Piece this episode, but we got to talk about One Piece again. Because boy howdy, that is crazy. I haven't done my studying, but I think I know where the One Piece. I have to like check back where it is, but I think we just met Sanji last time we were following, or Sanji last time we were following One Piece. Just burping into the mic. But so yeah, but Yu-Gi-Oh, Kevin, Yu-Gi-Oh is a crazy show. It has a bunch of seasons. The first, or maybe not season, series. I don't know. The first series was just Yu-Gi-Oh. That's the one everyone knows. And yeah, I don't know. It goes some crazy places. It's interesting. They start with 2,000 life, which is not a lot of life. And then I think they decided it wasn't enough life. So they bumped up the life totals to 4,000. They did this big tournament called like Battle City Tournament or something. And in Battle City Tournament, they all had 4,000 life. When you're actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh, the game, I'm pretty sure you have 8,000 life. So they still have less than in real life, but it makes the games go faster for the anime. They did the Battle City, but that was really like they also had like I don't know when this happened. They also had like a VR arc where they got sucked into the virtual reality world and they had to like do all this weird stuff. I don't know. It was weird. It was all weird, Kevin. They in the Battle City arc, they had this cult that was revealed, who is the cult of the Seal of Orichalcos, which was like this big seven-pointed star. It was like a satanic cult kind of, and they all played this card called the Seal of Orichalcos, and that you know, it powered up all their monsters. It was basically cheating. It like gave them all these cheaty abilities, and he eventually had to, Yugi had to beat the Orichalcos guy. Before that, he had to save his grandpa from Pegasus, and then after that, Pegasus was like evil, and then he just became like a normal guy, and then he was like a good guy, and like he stole Yugi's grandpa's soul, and his gimmick was that he could read people's minds, and so he could see what cards you were gonna play. And also he had a thing called Toon World, which made all of his cards into cartoons, and cartoons were basically unkillable. So he made all of his monsters into cartoons, and then they just like couldn't die, and it was basically impossible to beat him. And then also, if that weren't enough, he could read your mind and see what you're going to do in the game. And so what Yugi had to do is he had to like figure out some way to deal with Toon World. I don't remember how he did that, but also he did this thing. Here's the thing about Yugi, Kevin. He constructed the Millennium Puzzle, and it put another person's soul into his body. So he has two souls sharing one vessel. And he figured out that if he switched back and forth between who is controlling his body, he could hide from Pegasus's mind control. And so like one side would like do something, and before his mind could be read, he'd switch to the other person who didn't know what was in his hand. He like wouldn't look at his cards or something like that, you know? And so that's how they beat Pegasus mind control. Then again, Pegasus became a real guy. Pegasus is the guy who made Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Duel Monsters. But then it turns out that he didn't make Duel Monsters because after the Seal of Orichalcos arc, it turns out that the guy who's in Yugi's body, the other soul, he was like an ancient pharaoh. And back in the day, they used to play Duel Monsters using these giant stone hieroglyphic tablets that had the monsters carved on them. And these tablets would summon the souls of monster spirits, and they would battle with these monster spirit souls in a game that was basically Duel Monsters before Duel Monsters, and all the characters had like ancestor versions of themselves from ancient Egypt. And so Kaiba, who's like the rival, he was the other guy, and you know Kaiba and Yugi had this like eternal battle with their ancestors, where their ancestors were always like warring rivals and stuff. Oh, there was also the Egyptian God arc. There's these Egyptian God cards that were basically unstoppable too. That's the thing, Kevin. You'll find out that a lot of people have these unstoppable combos, and then they get stopped by the protagonist, because that's what Yu-Gi-Oh is all about. But that's the first season, or the first series. That's the broad strokes of it. Oh, and it turns out the pharaoh who was in Yugi's body, his name, they never knew what his name was. His name turned out to be Atem, kind of like Adam, but Atem. So that's his deal. And that's. But that's enough. That's enough Yu-Gi-Oh. What do you think of Yu-Gi-Oh, Kevin? You aware of it at all?
I am not, and this is a recurring theme. I know I've said this before, but I can never tell if you're just making stuff up or not sometimes. And I don't know if it's because we're talking about things that are kind of crazy, or if you have this storytelling method that highlights the absurdity of things in
Mm.
such this subtle, like, downplayed way that it makes it seem like you're just improvising everything you just said.
I mean, I get what but I feel like when I'm listening to someone's talking, I'm usually not being like, I can't tell if they're making this up. I'm like, well, they're talking. They're probably saying stuff, you know?
Right. Like, I don't think you're being malicious or anything. That's not what I mean by this. I just mean like I feel like this could all be one huge bit, and then like one day, years from now, you're going to be like, Kevin, all of those were made up, all of it.
Right.
We're gonna watch the real Yu-Gi-Oh now.
I feel like, what is it? I feel like you might have like an issue with your reality testing. Has anyone ever told you that?
No, I don't think so.
Reality testing refers to distinguishing your thoughts, feelings, and ideas from external reality-based events. So,
Okay.
anyway, oh, speaking of reality-based events, we got to talk about, this is some not anime stuff, but this is like a hybrid episode, folks. I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to live with it. But something we talked about on the podcast came back in the news in a big way. You know what I'm talking about, Kevin?
I think I do. I think this might
Well,
be some.
well, well. Well, well, well. Look who comes crawling back to me. You didn't believe me, did you, Kevin?
I I didn't actually. I also thought you were making this up.
I wasn't making nothing up. I ordered the med beds, and they're on their way. President Trump, he posted about it. President Trump posted an AI video of himself talking. Do you think he thought he was talking? Like, he was like, I don't remember talking about these med beds. Well, I must have said it. I must have talked about it. So I might as well retweet myself because I said it back then. It must be just as true now. Talk about reality
That's the
testing.
only thing that makes sense to me, and that really scares me if that's true.
I know we've been getting so many glimpses into this guy's like sense of reality, and it is a lot more troubling. And the fucking news isn't saying shit. Like no one gives a shit. Like Biden, anytime he flubs a line, they're like, oh, his brain's leaking out of his nose. Meanwhile, this guy like he thinks dragons exist. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. For those who don't know what we're talking about, literally just like a couple hours before we started recording, Trump posted a thing on Truth Social of this entirely AI generated video, supposedly of him on Fox News talking about medbeds and how every American is going to receive their own medbed card and you get like access to like medbeds everywhere and all of this. And he deleted a couple hours later, which is even more, I think, indicates that this did not go according to whatever plan there might have been to this. But like, not only is this so messed up, but I really feel like he might be listening to this show.
Yeah, baby, we're viral. We got the ear of the president, folks.
And to think we wasted it on medbeds.
Yeah, it's a shame. They're saying I'm the new Charlie Kirk. I'm the thinking man's Charlie Kirk, Kevin. The spleen is the thinking man's Charlie Kirk.
Well, Spleen, I gotta ask, just like last time we talked about this, you kind of sounded like you were in a lot of debt either to the medbed people or the Girl Scouts about shipping charges. I do
Yeah,
find this a little suspicious that suddenly now the president's hawking these things. I feel like he might be involved.
yeah. You think the Girl Scouts have med beds? They're probably 3D printing the cookies in the med beds. You could do that. You could do fucking anything in these things.
I think we're in a lot of trouble, Spleen. I think someone's gonna catch on to this whatever this scam issue you have going here.
Yeah, I saw this guy. He was using a med bed, and he got in a lot of trouble for malpractice for using his own med bed. Which we got to look at that, folks. You can't be getting in trouble. He took all his arms off and put them backwards on his back, which is another thing the med bed can do. That's how powerful it is. It can just reattach your limbs.
Uh, okay. Do you have one
Okay,
yet?
no,
Where's yours? I thought by now you
it's
would
in
have
the
had yours.
mail.
Okay. How much money do you owe
Oh, who?
to anyone right now? I mean, like the
To
medbed people, the
anyone?
Girl Scouts, to the president, to anybody.
Well, how much do I owe you?
I've stopped keeping track at this point.
Well, that's what I hope is happening with everybody else. I'm using.
Okay.
You ever read that book, The Secret?
No.
Well, I owe her money too. Okay,
Hey,
okay.
you got me on. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. All right. Anime. Okay. Well, we'll circle back. I'm sure. What'd you think? What'd you think of the movie? You watched you just watched right before this, you watched End of Evangelion.
Yes. I know I'm really late to this. I'm sorry for people who are listening to this in order that we're coming back to something that we've missed for so long. But okay, I have no idea what I watched. Like I thought the series was a little bonkers, and then I watched this and I'm like, okay, this is a whole new level of not knowing what's going on. Like I feel like I need to watch it probably 10 times before I can really have an opinion on what I watched. I I feel like overall, like it was almost meant to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. You know, like this was a lot more
A
raw.
little bit.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm having trouble like figuring out exactly what emotion was meant to be felt by this, but I felt like it was meant to make you like go, oh wow, this is the next step of this. This is a lot worse than we thought. This is really dark. And it's going to make you question what you thought you knew about these characters a little bit.
Mm.
Um, uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's Shinji seemed more broken than ever before, which I didn't think was possible.
Yeah, so just to like we'll probably tread some of the stuff we tread in the episode with Ryan and Jeff, but like just to reset where Shinji is at the beginning of the movie, after already barely recovering, like he almost killed Toji in the manga version of the show, or in the manga version, he does actually kill Toji. It's not like it was his choice because the autopilot was the one doing it, but he was in the robot, and he was basically like, I'm not going to drive this thing ever again, until like shit goes so bad that he like has to, and like Asuka gets defeated and stuff. And but then after that trauma, then he's forced to kill Kaworu, who is like someone he was like legitimately in love with, and this is very shortly after that. Um, in that episode with Kaworu, is when Asuka is picked up by Sela, and she's in a coma because she's in such bad condition for whatever reason, either because she attempted suicide or because she just or like one of the theories or whatever is that she was actually in prison, like she was being imprisoned, she was being held there by Nerve. Or yeah, I said Sela, but I meant Nerve. But she was held in prison by Sela, um, because she was missing. And so if Sela engineered her being missing, then they could have an excuse to have Kaworu pilot the unit too, which is what, almost he almost causes the third impact in like the last episodes pre instrumentality, which this is like, not instrumentality. This is like an alternate story kind of. So we're just after that, and he's still kind of fucked up over Kaworu, and also Asuka is in a coma after being missing. And so yes, Shinji's fucking losing it. And and Asuka's in a coma. And then he jerks off to Asuka, and he's like, I'm the lowest of the low. And most of the episode, he's kind of like in that mode. And it's really a struggle, because you're like, this is a movie that's the movie of the show, and the show is about Shinji, and this is a movie where Shinji literally does fucking nothing. Like, he doesn't do anything. I think like he's like I can't even remember. It's been a while now, but he's like going to fight the Eva series, those autopilot Evas. But I don't even think he does he? Or he like beats. I feel like he's like going to fight them, and then they immediately like paralyze him using like ritual magic or something, Like,
Yeah.
and that's like the only thing he does. Um, and then instrumentality happens. He just lets it all happen. The only thing he does is once it all happens, he's like talking to Ray, and he's like, "This isn't what I want," and it gets undone. And so you see like this really visual trippy shit of like him bursting out of the giant naked Ray, and blood and everything. But that's like the only thing he really does in the whole movie, basically, is says, this isn't what I wanted. Like everything else, he's just a complete catatonic like victim, which is such a choice. It's a movie about a kid being like, I'm not going to be in this movie. I don't want to do anything. I'm a piece of shit. But at the same time, he's like, yeah, I'm scum. I'm the lowest of the low. And in the beginning, he jerks off to Asuka, and it's like, yeah, like you kind of are, you're not good. Like this is a poor showing, Um,
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the recurring themes for this was just that he had a terrible time not only understanding but interacting with women, like
right.
throughout the entire thing. Like that was Shinzi's problem in this entire movie,
Yeah.
was that, he didn't know how to respect boundaries, but at the same time, Masato wasn't really respecting good boundaries with him either, and then he doesn't really know what to do with Astra at the end. He doesn't know what to do with Ray. He doesn't know, like, he's the recurring theme is that like he's confused, I guess, but like he doesn't know what he wants, and there's all of these women that he doesn't know how to feel about, and his reaction to that is to just shut down, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, like he definitely shuts down, especially in the movie, which is interesting because in the series, I guess he's not so broken, but in the series, he doesn't shut down the same way. He usually comes through at some point. Um, but yeah, like I talked about this, but like in the last two episodes of this series are instrumentality, and instrumentality happens in the movie too. and they're similar and they're different. There's theories where what some people think that they're both happening, like instrumentality. Basically, this movie's so crazy. You know when all the rays appear and turn everyone into orange juice?
Yeah.
Basically, right as that happens is when the events of the last two episodes in the show happen. And then after everyone applauds and congratulations and all that, then like the instrumentality conversations in the movie happen after that. Um, because, presumably if that theory is true, it's because everyone combined, but Shinji was like walling himself off. And so those two episodes were him breaking through that wall and joining this combinate consciousness of human instrumentality. And then once that's happening and he's like actually part of it, then he's having these kind of like arguments back and forth. The other theory is that the the series depicts a version of events where Shinji accepts instrumentality and the universe goes on as this common consciousness, whereas the movie depicts a version where he rejects instrumentality and the world goes back to how it was right after the instrumentality began, like post-apocalypse. Basically, that's why we see him on the shore, you know. Because he like turned it off. So all that cataclysm still happened, but the end result isn't everyone's this like meta blob of humanity, you know. Anyway, all this to say
That makes a lot
that
more sense than what I was thinking was, because I deliberately did not read anything about this in any way,
mhm,
so I was just trying to like guess what was happening here. I thought that this happened kind of like, so the last two episodes of the series happened and Shinji got kind of these like not really clearly defined powers. And I thought that maybe this was him going, wait, this isn't what I want, and kind of like reverse time and replay things differently, kind of. Like
yeah.
it happened chronologically, but he backed time up and said, let's do this a little bit differently. And then it came out, I think, for him, probably way worse up until the very end, maybe.
He's like, okay, let's do this differently. He rewinds time and he's like, I got to jerk off.
One more time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like he was super, like he seemed super depressed in this, even though it was supposed to be at a time point that we already had. So I thought maybe he was so distraught at like maybe not liking that ending that he. But your explanation makes a lot more sense than mine.
Yeah, well, if you think about again, like what I was setting up, where if you omit the last two episodes, the instrumentality episodes, then this movie is following on the heels of him killing Kawaru, and he's like, "I fucking killed this guy. I loved him. He's the first person that's ever showed me like this kind of love that I can accept, possibly because it's a guy. It's like it sidesteps his baggage with women, right? That it's like a
Yeah.
boy, you know. Anyway, I thought you were gearing up to say something. Sorry.
Oh no.
Okay. So, what I was going to say is that, and I talked about this, well, a lot of this stuff is retread, but in instrumentality, when Shinji is like arguing with Asuka and stuff, like we get kind of like I think it's a little bit messy, but we kind of get what his deal is that he feels like no one likes him. And they're like, no, we do like you. And he's like, no. And they're like, I don't know. He's like, I hate leaving it like this. He's talking about this kind of like in between zone where it's vague, it's not clear. And he's like, if you actually liked me, you wouldn't leave things like this. And I think like that whole bit is about he has this trauma where he can't see the relationships he's built. Like there's parts in the series where he has more of like functional relationships with these people, but again, as of killing Toji or almost killing Toji, like there's such big cracks in the relationships with everyone. Like everyone's kind of beefing coming into this. And so where he's at is like, I guess, I guess no one cares about me and I guess I'm worthless, and I haven't made any bonds with him. And it's about how he can't accept the feelings of those around him because of his trauma. Is like he can't imagine people liking him. And so he's like, no one likes me, I'm a piece of shit. And they're like, We do like you. Yes, you are also a piece of shit, but like everyone's like that, you know. That's not like the reason that people you just aren't letting you just aren't seeing, you know, how people are treating you for what it is. You're like coding it through, you know, this parental baggage, really. Because, you know, before the series, he's had no close relationships, except he's been living with his like aunt and uncle or something, or his grandparents. He's been living with someone. We don't see any of that, but presumably that was at least somewhat of a relationship. You know, it kind of gets in the way of like a lot of this. I've never had like a relationship with a human being. You know, it's like, well, probably off screen you were interacting with your other family in a way that was reasonably normal. At least we don't get any evidence otherwise, you know. But but yeah, like that's what the whole show is that he can't see the relationships he's built, and so because of that, he feels like he's alone. Because of that, he implodes. He can't do anything, and so the world ends. Yeah. Let's see. Any other big thoughts?
Sorry, I had notes and the computer just closed it.
Classic.
Yeah. So I don't know. There was one scene where Gendo shoots, what's the blonde woman's name?
Ritsuko.
Yeah. So at least in the copy I had, he just before he shoots her, he says like some kind of like goodbye thing to her or something like that. But then his mouth starts moving, but there's
Mhm.
no in the English dub, and then there's no subtitle or anything.
Right.
Is that a mistake, or was there
No,
something?
that's like a trope. It happens a lot. I think it happens in anime. I think it happens in movies though too, where there's something that's said, but the audience doesn't hear it, and it's kind of a mystery. Sometimes it's revealed later what it was actually being said, or sometimes it's just left to the audience's imagination. You know that trope? It was that trope.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like, I kind of feel like this movie takes the unreliable narrator kind of trope and pushes it to an extreme where I don't feel like I trust anything going on. And like that's a really good example of that, I think, where like I couldn't tell if that was a mistake, if that was deliberate, but if it was deliberate, it never paid off later. And then, it's just one of those things where it leaves you feeling unsettled. And if that's on purpose, that's a genius.
Yeah, it's unsettling. I mean, whatever he says it to Ritsuko, and judging by her reaction, it's really meaningful and important to her because, you know, she's in this like jealous love triangle. She's jealous of Ray, and she's kind of followed in her mom's footsteps, being like this unrequited situation with Gendo, who is, you know, only still kind of, I mean, the whole reason he does human instrumentality is to reunite with Yui, you know. So like this is all
Right.
about Yui to him. And so you know, she's just being used just like her mom was just being used. And so, you know, she asks him something like, "Did you ever have any real feelings for me?" or something like that. And when he shoots her, he says something that's probably to the effect of like, you know, there was some genuine feelings there, or you were important to me. You weren't just a pawn or something. It might have been I did really love you, or I did need you. I truly needed you, something like that, you know. But I think that's the, you know, I don't know. There is a I mean, speaking of this trope more broadly, there's this episode of Family Guy. There's like this Family Guy bit where they're watching some, I don't know, chick flick. It's like Steel Magnolias, or I don't know what the fuck it is. But the guys are all watching it, and Peter's like, "What do you think he whispered to her?" And Cleveland's like, "I bet it was just right." And it's like, you know, it's like whatever he said is, you know, it had this really important specific meaning to her, you know, and so like that's I think the idea there.
Okay. I mean, there was some other things too that were like, okay, when it got a little bit weirder than even it already was, and you started seeing those like really like kids crayon drawings.
Yeah.
At first, I was a little bit annoyed. So I'm like, okay, this is really just like immersion breaking here. Like, I no longer even feel like I'm in this movie anymore,
Oh, the
and I don't
live
like
action
this.
shots were immersion breaking for you. The picture of the audience not sure how to react to the
Yes.
movie. That was, you were like, now I'm not sure. This is sort of getting a little meta for me.
Yes. But then like the more it happened, the more I'm like, okay, this is supposed to like all of these things that I'm not liking about this, I'm supposed to be feeling right now. And if that's true, this is really well done.
Mm,
Because like it's not just like, exposition telling you how to feel, and it's not even like characters feeling a certain way so you empathize with them. This is like almost like fourth wall breaking levels
almost.
of yeah, like
The Oscar cosplayer at some convention was almost fourth wall breaking.
well, okay. You know what I mean, though, but it's not like the characters are like directly talking to you or something, Like
Mhm.
it's not, you know, uh Shinji going, well, I'm in a movie right now and this is how I'm going to feel. Like it's not that level, but at the same time, it's like made me feel things in a way that most movies don't even attempt to.
How did it make you feel? What?
Well, okay, I mean, honestly, it made me feel like I need to watch it 10 more times because I missed
Yeah.
like I was paying so much attention that I was missing things, I feel like.
Hmm.
And I deliberately did not read any theories or analysis or anything of it. So like I want to like explain my guess as to the ending of it when we get to that point, knowing
Hmm.
it's wrong, just because I want to see how close I got.
Okay. Yeah. So in that part, Anno, and we talked about this ages ago, but Anno was like, for him, this series was like about, is it okay for me to be into anime as like an adult, or is it stupid? Like, is it bad? Is it harmful to be like a weird nerd? You know, who cares about all this stuff? Um, is it harmful to get so deeply into like obsessed with anime? And part of this was he made an ending to the series that wasn't in this movie and was eventually scrapped, but it involved like cosplayers, and the voice actors were like cosplaying as the characters, and it was live action, and they were like reading a script and stuff. um and it was supposed to be like about like, hey guys, this is fake, it's over, it's time to come back to the real world. Which is, I don't know, can you just imagine, like, have you finished Good Place yet? You've been watching Good Place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you finished it?
Yes, I have.
Well, we got to talk about that. But imagine if on like the finale of The Good Place, Ted Danson's in that. If Ted Danson was like, he just looks at the camera and he's like, well, we've had our fun, folks, but it's time to go back to the real world in a few minutes. This show's almost over for good. You know, it's like, that's such a weird artistic urge to be like, yeah, we're making the show, but shouldn't we remind the audience that the real world exists? It's like, I mean, I guess. Why? Why is that? Why is that something you value in this moment? You know, it's a really weird urge. Um, I guess, yeah,
Yeah,
we gotta do that.
the one word I could describe me feeling throughout the entire viewing of this was just unsettled.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was on purpose, uh, congratulations to them because it worked. It really did work.
That's the thing. There's not like a single moment in the whole movie that is not uncomfortable. Almost every choice serves to like unsettle you more and more, you know, to the very end. And then like, if you're watching on Netflix, which you aren't necessarily, but if you're watching on Netflix, like the credits are in the middle of the movie, and so he like is choking Asuka, and then just hard cut to like the Netflix episode over screen, you know, like, go, oh, do you want to play a different show now? Like, hey, try this show. It's like so abrupt. It's just like to the very end, it's all uncomfortable, you know? Um, and it's again, it's really impressive how uncompromising it is. Uh, it's an amazing piece of art in that sense. And it's amazing that it was like so early in like, obviously anime is like older, but like it's so early in like the pillars of anime, and it's such this monumental like forebear to all modern anime. So for it to be such this uncompromising, unsettling, off-putting, not bad, but just uncomfortable experience in so many ways is like wild. We were talking about in the episode that like Asuka jerking off to or Shinji jerking off to Asuka is like the Mount Rushmore of anime. Like it's crazy that that's the case, but it's like that's like huge in anime history. It's like a huge pivotal moment, and it's like, and that's the moment. It's crazy, you know.
Yeah, there were just so many choices that
There really were.
seemed just to put you slightly unease. Like again, I didn't research any of this. I'm sure there's some logic behind this, but that one song that starts off sounding just like "Hey Jude" and then isn't
Hmm.
added to that so much for me. So I'm like, oh, that's a okay. Well, they had "Fly Me to the Moon." I guess maybe they licensed this too. I just really surprised me that it had to be one of the most expensive songs to license, and it turns out not to be "Hey Jude." And I don't know if that was just coincidence, if that was on purpose, if they were trying to elicit that feeling. I
Yeah.
I I don't know, but there were so many decisions like that.
When was
You
that Hey
know,
Jude part?
it was right in the middle between the two episodes, kind of.
Okay, yeah.
It was like I think it was a song that came right after the credits, if I remember
Hmm.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
What other notes you got?
I don't know. Minor detail, but the one of the things that like started me off going, this is weird, was the almost comically long series of production company logos at the start. It
Yeah, that
was
was awesome.
92 seconds
Yeah.
of corporate logos
And
to
one
the
of the
point that I'm
cards is
like,
just
okay,
like a, yeah, go ahead.
this has to be a bit. Like this is a joke. Like there's going to be a fake one at the end, and that's how it's going to start. And like they're just seeing how far you go before you're like, wait a minute. But no, that was real. I guess I don't know. That seemed a weird choice.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about was that one of the production cards was one of the later ones, was like this live action footage of a shore, and it took a long time for like the text to come up, and it's like, is this the
Yes,
movie? Yeah.
yes. I was like, okay, I guess this is live. I didn't think this was live action. Okay, I guess it is. And then
Yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't. And then
yeah.
yeah,
It's awesome. What a great
yeah.
what a great movie. What else you got?
Um, okay. As much as I appreciate in retrospect the uncomfortableness of a lot of the scenes, I I felt like Masato's blatant taking things too far with Shinji was a weird choice.
Yeah, we talked about that. But my read, and I think this is like the canonical read, is that on one level, Masato sees a lot of herself in Shinji because, like Masato, after she got recovered from Antarctica when her dad died, she was like catatonic. She was like basically just in a fetal position in like this white room for like years, not talking to anybody. So like she kind of understands what it's like to like be so over life that you just can't do anything. And she says that to him too when she's like she's yelling at him. She's like,
Hmm.
you'll end up regretting this. You'll regret how much time you spent doing nothing because you'll realize like how worthless it was. And so there's part of that, but also she's been shot. She knows she's gonna die, and her focus is getting him to survive. Like from the very beginning, she's like, okay, Asuka is in a coma. She can't drive the Eva, but let's put her in the Eva because it's the safest place for her, because they have the
Yeah.
AT fields and stuff. And she's just like, let's get her in the Eva, get her away from here so she's safe. And similarly, she's thinking that way about Shinji. She even says that multiple times, like, if you stay here, you'll die. Like, she just wants him to survive. She wants to save him. And so she's trying to motivate him, and he's not motivatable. And she knows, she knows that his family dynamic is fucked up. Again, I think she knows, she sees some of herself in him. Like she dated Kaji because he was like a surrogate father figure, and so I think she's kind of seeing him in the similar light, being like he's probably going through similar kind of like parental issues or whatever. And so what she's doing is she is motivating him with sex. She gives him, a French kiss, a deep, adult kiss, and then she says, "When you get back, there's more where that came from." And again, when she says this, she knows she's gonna die. Even if magically he saved the day and everyone was fine, she still has a gunshot wound. She's still dead. There's not more of this where it came from. She is lying to him, saying, "Look, here's a carrot. I tried the stick. Now here's the carrot. Here's motivation. You could get physical validation from women in your life if you perform, And so that's what she's attempting. That's what I believe she's attempting to do is, knowing she's about to die and can't really do anything other than potentially save his life. She's like, it's kind of as a last resort. She's doing that. And then again, you see he goes up the elevator and you're on her in that bunker part, and then it fucking explodes. Like she is so dead,
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the idea. Not that that makes it like better or whatever, but to me, that's like the psychology of that moment.
That's what I hoped it was. Like,
Yeah.
she kind of used it to slap him out of the catatonic state he was
Mm-hmm.
in the one way that she could do in the few minutes that she had.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I agreed that it worked. It was just it was such a weird choice.
Yeah. Really uncomfortable.
I mean,
And then
it fit with the whole theme. I'm
and
not
he's
saying it
going
did.
up the elevator and he has blood in his mouth that was probably from the inside of her mouth, and he
Yes,
starts like crying or whatever. It's fucking crazy.
yes.
Yeah.
That was a hard one to watch, not because of the sexuality, but just because of the you know, it was depressing. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It was depressing. Anything else?
really, just the strangling at the end. I have my bad theory, but I want to hear
What's your
the right
theory?
answer. So, okay, my sort of reading for this was, if I'm going to take this to like biblical themes, was that at the very, very end, Asha and Shinji were sort of Adam and Eve on a whole new world. It seemed like kind of,
Yeah.
but he still came into it just as messed up as he was 5 minutes before. Like he still wasn't in a good place at all. And so I was wondering, like, was part of the reason why he like immediately just leapt to strangle her was, for one, didn't want her to be trapped in whatever eternity that was possibly meaning of just the two of them. Like he wanted to spare her from that, but also just that like he was he was assuming that everybody else was just as bad of a place as he was. So he was doing her kind of a favor. But then when she showed some compassion to him, he kind of realized that maybe that wasn't the case. Like I'm sure that's wrong, but I'm hoping I'm getting close to it.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't have a super good read for it. I was reading like in the aftermath of recording the episode, I was reading Reddit's trying to figure out, because this is like a question a lot of people have, trying to see, and there's kind of like there's a couple major consensuses, but none of them fit like perfectly to me. But one of them is it's like, so Shinji's been there for a while, maybe a couple weeks. Um, One of the things that Ray says when they're still like in the brain space when he rejects instrumentality is that like people can come back. They're all merged together, but they can regain their forms if they have the will to live or something. She says something like that. And so Shinji comes back. He's the first one to come back. But when we see him like lying on the beach there, we see Masato's cross on a stick, and that's like a memorial that Shinji has made in the intervening time. So he's kind of been walking the earth or something as the only person around. And Asuka is maybe one of the first people to do what Ray says and regain her corporeal form. Um, and so, like, one of the theories is that he doesn't think it's real. He thinks he's maybe still in like the dream world, and so he doesn't know like what, like, so it could be a hallucination or some sort of like trick. And so he's kind of like pinching yourself or something. He's like strangling this thing to see what's happening, and then her reaction makes him stop because he's like, oh, okay. There's another read where he's still just kind of residually angry about everything, and has weird feelings of rage towards women, and he's taking them out on that. um or specifically with Asuka, based on their conflict that they had in instrumentality when they were like arguing with each other. And he's like still playing that out. And um and the way she reacts by touching him and saying you're disgusting, that makes him stop. Which I think that makes some sense. It's not super clean, and I don't have a great memory of it. So there might be a way to get from what I'm saying to like the actual thing. Like that's maybe closer. But like, because like Asuka, Shinji in instrumentality, Shinji was saying like, I need validation. I'll do whatever you want. Just validate me. Just be here and accept me. Like he says all these things. I just want someone to look at me, to care about me, to not kill me. And she says no. She's like no. And then like he strangles her in instrumentality or something like that. And so that's like he's like being really vulnerable and saying like this is what I need from other people. And she's like in instrumentality with no boundaries between people. She's seeing him for everything that he is. She's like piercing through his soul, seeing everything and just rejecting it, saying like, I reject you. I reject even the idea of not killing you. I just reject you entirely. And so when she comes back, he might be harboring some of those situations, those feelings, and is acting out on them. And then in that moment, when she touches his face and says disgusting, um, she is both accepting him, but also not absolving him of his grossness. Like she's like, I still reject all this part of you, but that doesn't mean, I'm gonna fight. I think right now, I think there's also I don't know if I remember reading this or it's just in my head, but the hedgehog dilemma in the very earlier parts of the series, the idea that hedgehogs, the closer they try to get to each other, the more they poke each other. I think him and
Mhm.
Asuka are like hedgehog dilemma-ing. And this is like the final part where he's poking her with a quill and she is kind of like returning that with love or acceptance as opposed to like poking him back. And like that eventually breaks through, and then he's like, okay, I can actually accept this instead of constantly fighting it like he was fighting it in instrumentality. So those are some ideas. I'm not super clear. To me it was really hard to interpret, and only trying to like put it together I can have like any answers, but I don't know that there's anything that I really think is a slam dunk. I think it's supposed to just be transgressive and strange.
Yeah. Like this doesn't really make sense, but I almost feel like or felt like when he kind of like stops strangling her a little bit and she says disgusting, like almost that she's disappointed that he wussed out of that too. But that doesn't really make
Yeah,
sense. But that's more what I felt like what she meant by that of like even like the one time you actually showed some spine, you wuss out.
right. I
But
think that's viable too. But
I,
it's just weird
yeah.
because she's not like trying to stop him and then fails at stopping him because she's like
Mhm.
losing consciousness or dying or something. She's like actually kind of caressing him as opposed to like fighting back in any way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so that's what she does physically, but either way, that is at odds with you know not being disgusted. Which she
Right.
is disgusted. So yeah, it's confusing regardless.
I
Um,
kind of thought that maybe that wasn't actually her. Like that was what it was going to set up for, was that she was going to be like, "Oh, disgusting! You wussed out," and she was some evil thing in her form trying to. But then it just ends. So I don't. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unclear. It's weird because I don't know. When I first watched the rebuilds, I thought it was kind of like a time loop situation where like where they are in the end of the movie is like the end of time, and then like the world restarts because of instrumentality, and all of history happens again, and it all happens the same way to leave them in a very similar spot, and that's where the first rebuild movie takes place. But the in the rebuild movie, the whole world looks like what we see at the end with these white, like kind of bone beaches and red oceans and stuff. And Shinji is in this giant ship, and he's like a prisoner with like this giant like lock around his neck. And so like it I think like actually we're to believe that somehow everybody kind of reconstitutes themselves the way Asuka did, and like creates a new giant spaceship to be in. And then they're like, and we got to lock up Shinji because you saw what happened last time. Like, and that's
Yeah,
where kind of
okay.
the movie picks up, which is interesting. I don't know. Just, it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know.
I did
But,
have one other weird theory too.
first,
So,
if you guys have any idea regarding what the ending, like your interpretation of the choking part at the ending, let us know in the Reddit or the email. Reddit's probably better. It'll be easier. I'll get to it faster if it's on Reddit than the emails. Anyway, what was the other thing, Kevin?
so okay, so it almost seems like the movie's talking to you as an anime fan.
Yeah,
And it seems like the main nerve characters seem like, very almost exaggerated anime characters in this.
yeah.
It almost seems like the Seele people are non-anime fans. Because like despite this being their job, they don't know like the unit numbers or anything. They're like, oh, the red one, oh, the purple one, stuff like that. They seem to have absolutely no knowledge of any of the lore or the behind the scene. Like every time they talk, they're misunderstanding, they're using the wrong words, or they're showing a distinct lack of knowledge and just this
Mhm.
overall aversion to everything Nerve is doing. So I kind of wondered like if the movie's talking to you as directly as an anime fan, were these supposed to be the normies who don't watch this sort of stuff?
Yeah, like they're the real world, which is a bunch of shitty businessmen that hate, creativity,
Yes.
and they judge anime fans, and they don't understand it, and they cynically think they can control it for their own ends, and that's what's driving them is to ham-fistedly manipulate anime fans using shitty incentives and fan service and whatever, and a weak grasp of the material to get their money or manipulate them into doing what they want. And really we should reject that by uh leaving the movie theater or something.
Yeah, that's way better than I had worked that out. But
I like
yes,
that.
that
That's
that's
fun. I like that. I don't
yeah.
know. Could be. It
All right.
makes sense.
I'll take. It just seemed really shocking to me that they kept like referring to the Evas as like, oh, the red one,
Hmm.
you know, which doesn't seem like if this whole organization's job was to keep track of what Nerve was doing and infiltrate them and all this, they would know every single detail, and they didn't. So
Yeah.
that seemed weird.
If I had to guess, I would say that that is what we're usually hearing when they're talking about the red one. Those are like military personnel, and they probably don't have all the details. Like those are like on the ground Japanese Defense Force guys, and they're like, "Oh shit, this thing's red. It's the red one."
Yeah.
But I don't know. Who knows? But that's Eva until we do the rebuilds. Next time we do an anime episode, it'll be FLCL. I was thinking we should do all three seasons of FLCL because the first one is, also anime famous. I think it's more popular in America than it is in Japan, but I'm sure it's popular in both. But then the second and third season are very recent, and most people aren't aware of those. I think every season is like 6 episodes, so it's not a ton of episodes. I think we'll probably go through them two at a time. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see, for fans of FLCL to see the other two seasons because I think very few people have actually seen those. So that's fun. You know anything about FLCL?
I do not. And I wanted to dig into it, but then you talked about us watching it, so I intentionally did not dig into it
Yeah,
in any
yeah.
way yet.
It's cool. It's fun. It's I don't know. There's a grandpa in it, and the grandpa FLCL is like short for Footy Cootie. And the grandpa says, I don't know if they're just like doing a bit or if it's the actual reference, but the grandpa says Footy Cootie is like the sound you make when you're groping a woman's tits, I think. So I don't know. They might just be like like making a joke because it's like a nonsensical sound. And so they're like, kind of like I want to, if someone's like talking about bonobo monkeys and you're like, I want to bonobo her monkeys. It's like, it's not like those words actually mean that, but the implication becomes clear when, the intent is put to it. But yeah, I mean, usually we go overtime. Our clock is at 2 minutes. How do wouldn't we normally out in the episode after the timer ends? Or how are
Yeah,
we on
well,
time?
we
This
can
is
end it
good.
whenever.
Now it's time for time talk with the Time Lord. Oi, mate, I'm David Tennant. It's time for time talk with the Time Lord. Yeah, I know we can end whatever, but I'm just trying to think of how long will the episode. So at this, the episode will be like at zero. How
70,
long is the episode going to be?
uh, an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay, that's not bad. I do. Let's read an email. Someone had an email. Whatever. Let's just read it. Thoughts on the end of Evangelion. Mark writes, the conclusion of the Eva series made me want to write and share my thoughts on the end of Evangelion. Just some sporadic thoughts that came up as you guys were talking. Masato kissing Shinji, like you guys, I found it kind of gross, but just thought of it as a distract to get him in the elevator. A nicer way of clubbing him over the head to daze him and shoving him in. The last shot of her standing straight up and putting on a happy, confident appearance as the door closed, followed by her immediately collapsing, is very heart-wrenching. I think manipulation and deception are a big theme of the show, and Masato and Shinji's relationship really leans into this, which you've talked about a lot. The last scenes between them sum up the complexity of their relationship. In quick succession, she's his superior officer giving him orders, his caregiver dragging him from room to room, a parental figure telling him to think for himself, and then even potentially a lover, which is weird and bad, but all this reflects aspects of their relationship throughout the show. Masato's character inhabits these roles apart from Shinji as well, as seen in the episodes about her. And finding some way of allowing these conflicting identities to coexist is a big part of her story arc. I think that's really well put, Mark. We got some more. I really loved the sandbox scene at the beginning of the ego breakdown sequence. I think the grainy filter throughout the sequence looks really cool, and it's visually distinct from the super clean aesthetic that the anime has. I also have a potentially overreaching interpretation. I think the sun and the four hills, two in the background, two in the middle ground, are meant to look like a birthing mother. I've seen people point this out where the whole layout of the scene looks like a birthing like a birthing situation. There's like vaginal pieces. It's supposed to look like a birthing mother seen from the perspective of the baby. The sun is the head. The hills in the background are the breasts. The hills in the foreground are the legs and knees raised in birthing position. Have a look for them yourself. I attached some screenshots. And yeah, it does look like that given these images. And I've seen other people on Reddit and stuff point the same thing out, that they think it was supposed to be referencing, birth, which makes sense because like instrumentality is kind of like the birth of this new world or the rebirth of the world or something, so like the idea that this is this like happening. Yeah, let's see. I think the scene plays out as the first instance of alienation when a baby is separated from its mother. It's getting at the idea that loneliness, mistrust, and fear of intimacy stem from a universal experience, which is birth. Some interesting visuals in the train car sequence. It starts with Rei in the train car with Shinji. When Shinji starts going off about people making things vague and being afraid of abandonment, we just see the girls' images superimposed over him. They're naked and smiling, but insubstantial, like they're being projected from his mind. At the end, it cuts to him literally just talking to himself in a corner, staring at the floor, while the real substantial Rei Asuka and Misato just stare at him like, what the fuck? It's a good representation of getting in your own head and talking to imagined versions of people instead of the real thing, something I relate to. Want to keep this somewhat short, so I'll cut it off there. Thanks for doing the series. I really enjoy everything you guys had to say about Eva, and I can't wait for the next one. I wanted to watch the next series you're covering for a while. Looking forward to watching along. Thanks so much, Mark. This is really great thoughts. Um, I don't know. This is the kind of analysis I wish I was more capable of. I think this is really well considered and stuff. You have any uh, response there?
No, that was a lot of things I thought, but could not articulate that well, which makes me feel a little bad. So yeah, that was really good.
That's the thing. Like, it's so there's so much happening. Like, not obviously all the stuff is upsetting and jarring and unsettling, but like so much fucking shit happens in the movie that it's hard to really get your mind around it. And a lot of it's unstated, or like what is happening doesn't cleanly explain it. Like, they're like, oh, it's the tree of life and the fruit of life and knowledge and stuff. And it's like, okay, those are words, but I don't see how that's what we're seeing on screen, you know. So even taking it on the literal level, it still doesn't make a lot of sense. I think I've watched it 4 or 5 times total now, and so I'm able to put it more together. But it is really hard to interpret, especially the first time. Like, pieces start coming together more the second times, and having the context from the rest of the series, helps a lot. But yeah, it's pretty tough. It's a really tough, dense work.
It's yeah, the depth to it. I intentionally watch these things just before we record, so everything's fresh in my mind. And I'm thinking now, especially after reading that kind of analysis of this, that I need to watch this days before, and then maybe watch it again 2 or 3 times, and really come up with some better theories. Because that was really well done.
Yeah, for most of the episodes, that we recorded, I would watch it once the day before and then watch it once the day of, because like being able to watch it multiple times definitely helps you understand even just what's happening, like literally what's happening in an episode, because the way the animation works and the way they do time cuts and stuff, like sometimes you just like miss what they're going for. Um, how much can we go over?
Yeah, we can go over.
Should we go over? I don't know. I have all these podcast notes, but I feel like it's probably better. These are more normal podcast notes, like That Happens, not Anime Binge Club. But I'm excited about them. Um, no, we'll tune in next week to be talking about these things that I'm referencing right now. Come back.
That's a hook.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's a real hook. So yeah, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for watching anime with me. Then thanks for listening to me sing the anime theme song. That's what Anime Binge Club is all about.
it is better every time.
All right. So we like to end the episode the same way. So it's time for another lesson with Spenpie. Spenpie's just like face down in a bucket of water. I think he's dead. I'm poking him with a stick.
Do you have a lesson for us, Spleen?
Yeah. Did you know Japanese is Spanish? Goodbye.